Hi everyone. Now we're here with part 2 of our snail episode, putting together a snail terrarium as a home for snails. This is a follow-up to part 1 in which Jeff Winokur and I, Cindy Hoisington, observed snails. You can use, this is obviously a store-bought terrarium, a plastic one. Again, you know, depending on how long you're going to keep them, you're going to want to do it a little more thoroughly. If you're just going to keep them for 2 or 3 days, then you don't need to go maybe to these lengths, but you also want to think about the size of the terrarium. For short periods of time, a small terrarium is fine, and even a cut-down soda bottle with cheesecloth or some kind of netting over the top, so that, because these snails are escape artists and they will get out very quickly. As you saw how they climbed up when Jeff held the plexiglass, they will do the same on the side of the terrarium. I like to start with a little activated filter carbon. It is optional, but it does tend to cut down a little bit on any smells. It does absorb any odors that if, especially now if you're going to keep them over a long period of time. Again, for a long period of time, you might want to add a little bit of gravel. And I do that because I want to be careful that the soil, you know, when I spray it every day, I want to be careful that the soil doesn't get waterlogged. So I kind of want a little bit of gravel in the bottom in case there is any extra water. It can, I'm trying to get it out there. It can collect in the gravel and not in the dirt. Okay. Jeff,
Just while you're doing this, I just want to mention that this snail has crawled off the edge of the plexi and then under the plexi that was hanging over the edge of the table.
And it makes me think about where I found them. In fact, some of them were on leaves of plants and actually hanging on the underside, or seemed to be attached to the underside of the leaves. Now again, I don't want to take up a lot of time. This is just soil. As it happens, I did purchase all-purpose garden soil, but that's not necessary at all. You really, in fact, preferable to get the soil wherever you found the snails, which will be in very moist, dark places, often under things, under leaf litter, often near rocks, in corners of buildings, near the foundation. So I'm not going to take the time to fill this all the way up, but I like to have it, you want to have at least 3 inches of dirt, because you'd be surprised at how much snails actually like to dig under the soil.
Well, I've read that that's where they prefer to lay their eggs.
Yes,
also,
if you want to keep snails and you want them to reproduce, again, more important to take more care with how you set up the terrarium. And there are places that you can also look for information. So we have in books, for example, this is a real old one, but there is a new edition out now called Great Pets, Pets in a Jar. There's lovely websites you can Google, setting up a terrarium for snails or taking care of snails long term. Obviously, we're showing you how to set up a terrarium. Whoa, look at that pig pile. Did you see that?
Yeah, there were all 4 or 5 snails.
They really are all piled on there. And so then you can kind of, with your terrarium again, you know, adding a rock, some sticks. You want to make a little bit of an interesting environment for them. You don't want them to be bored. I've got a little sphagnum moss. They love to hide under and around things, so I like to put some of that in there. I even like to put a little, this is just a little empty K-cup. They like to crawl inside. Again, they like to get to hide away. Really important thing when you bring this back to your classroom, must not be in the sun, must not be in direct sun, must be in a shaded place, in a protected place in the classroom. The snails think about where you find them outside in dark, moist places. You don't find them running through the sunny grass. So thinking about time here, is there anything we wanted to...
Well, the one thing about the water, the spray
Oh,
bottle.
yes, thank you. really important to keep them, again, thinking about their outdoor environment, at least once a day, a really good soaking spray. I usually do it at night because snails are actually naturally nocturnal. So you
But
want to give
these
it a nice...
critters are pretty active. in
We've
daylight.
sprayed them with, well, you saw when we took them out. I mean, they were all in their shells, but a spray with water will get them very active. So, once it's set up, again, very carefully, as Jeff suggested, just kind of a slide and a lift. And we can put our little, you see how it just went right back, retracted right back into its shell when I picked it up that time. Let's see if I can get one that will stay out here while it goes into
Boy,
its
they
new
sure
home.
do seem like curious animals. They're climbing over
Oh.
everything, they're looking for things.
Great, so, as you can see, we're very much, we hope that you go out and search for from snails and bring them in, and clearly if you're doing this in a classroom, you'll want to have the children or the students helping you to look for the snails, to find them, and to set up the terrarium, and you and your students and children will have many, many hours of pleasurable observation watching garden snails. Thank you.
Thanks.